the crowd goes wild. Okay, hello. Let me bring my mic in here. Welcome to Tech Talk Live Tuesday. Today we're talking about pattern sequence edit jobs. That is the topic for today. So we first, what did we do last week? We just talked about the pattern sequencer, just kind of introduced you to it in this main screen here. By the way, just what did you just see? What did I just do? I actually put together this little song called May 12th, 2020. Couldn't think of a name, so it's May the 12th, and it's 2020. So I created this song this week, and it's actually 6 sections. That was section 6. That was my ending section there. And I basically pieced it together like a small sort of song here. So I had a little intro and then maybe a first A prime, I guess. That's what I would call the second part here. And then the next one would be something like, I don't know, a groove, a solo section next. And then 6, and you can see the length in here as I change in the screen up there. But that's what I made. I made something with this cool pattern sequencer and using this. I love the pattern sequencer. The pattern sequencer was one of the coolest things that we put out for Montage and MODX since launch. It was something that I personally certainly missed when we released Montage, and you did too, and you let us know that. So what did we do? We asked our cool engineers to work on putting the pattern sequencer in this instrument, and that's what we did. So it's pretty awesome. Hey, here I am right here. I just want to kind of show you some of the resources out there for you. I know I got some questions that were sent via the Qualtrics survey. Some of them I can answer. Some of them are a little bit further involved. Some of them are sort of a little bit off topic, and I'll just address that real quick. This is the synthesizer page here, and so we're doing things like Montage, MODX. Going forward, we'll probably do things on the CP and the YC. I see there's a lot of people who are asking questions about Genos, and I totally get it. I actually don't have a lot of experience with Genos because I'm a synthesizer product specialist, not the arranger guy. But that those questions and those requests will certainly be transmitted to our brethren at Yamaha, and see if we can't get something happening with we'll just let them know that you're requesting that. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way first. Moving along here, I do want to point out for anybody that has any questions that I don't answer, there's one question here, for example, that was talking about creating an ARP. And the definitely complexities, and you got to get your head around creating ARPs. But fortunately, at YamahaSynth.com, right there, look at that, YamahaSynth.com, you can find a really good article written by Phil Badminster Clendenin about creating ARPs and how to use it. And with this instrument, and I'll touch on it a little bit here during this here Tech Talk now today. That is very poor English, but in this Tech Talk today, I will show you where that ARP creation is in here. But as far as creating ARPs, you should really check out that article. Just go over to YamahaSynth.com. The Qualtrics survey, obviously, that will always be in the announcement for the next Tech Talk Live, the previous one, or wherever I'm. Anyway, I put it in the announcement for this one, a link to go to this to ask a question. And again, I will try and answer as many questions as I can in this short, basically half-hour kind of show that we're doing here. Idea Scale, hey, got an idea? Please go to Idea Scale and join the community and put your idea into the community. And, the ones that are super popular get voted up because it's sort of a crowdsourcing idea, idea catch-all, place, source. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I know that Idea Scale is where you can put an idea for some update to the instrument. Any ideas that you have, please put them in Idea Scale. It'll be fairly self-explanatory when you go there. Much better explanatory than me. Hey, the music production guide. If you saw, I know I watched Hape's previous Tech Talk Live that he did in German. And what's really interesting about Hape is that he first said in English, hey, I'm not going to do this in English, but he did in English. I wish I could do that in German. but I can't. Why am I talking about that? Because the music production guide is something that he is deeply involved in. He creates a lot of the articles, and they're great articles in this guide. Go to that address right there, musicproduction.eu, and you can sign up for the music production guide and have access to something like 10 years, I think, of music production guides. So any of you that have a motif, you'll find some cool things in there for that instrument as well. Last thing I want to talk about is SoundMondo. SoundMondo is our social sound sharing site service that is completely free, that has over 50,000, I think we're at like 60,000 sounds for the following instruments that you see up there. You have the Reface series, CP, Montage, MODX, and now YC, which we are very soon shipping, if not already shipping, depending on where you live in the world. But you can upload and download sounds for your instrument for free. Please go check it out. I just put an article up I guess 2 days ago, yesterday, that was talking about, it was Dom Sigalis's performance. I didn't mention this, SoundCloud, Yamaha Synth, SoundCloud at Yamaha Synth. So soundcloud.com/Yamaha Synth. That is where we have our Behind the Synth podcast. All those things are up there along with live sessions. I put Dom's live session up and talked about how he puts a lot of his really cool performances. In fact, some of the best performances to me in OS3 are done by Dom. One of them is called Film Choir, which is just ridiculous. Maybe I'll play it at the end here since I'm talking about it. And then there's another one called Piano Melancholy or something like. Anyway, you can find a lot of his custom montage reface sounds up on SoundMondo. That was my point. Hi, I'm back. Let's talk about the pattern edit jobs. So, as you see, here's the screen right here in front of us. So pattern edit jobs, they're right over here. You touch on the edit job. And when you first do that, you have this overview page. So what does the overview page do for you? It gives you an overview of whatever you have loaded or recorded. If there's nothing in here, it would have nothing in here. But currently it shows that I have 6 scenes at a glance in that little overview window, and it has little boxes where there are where there's data that's been recorded. So you'll see like the piano, I only recorded on part 4 when I did the little guitar solo thing because I wanted to have the piano comp. So, and why is that a 4-part piano? Because I use CFX Concert because it's a great piano and I use it pretty much all the time. So I recorded all 4 of those parts. That's a 4-part performance. That's why how it gets so much of its expressiveness is because it has a soft layer, it has a hard layer, it has just the part where there's no dampers at the top above G on a grand piano, and has key off as one of the parts. But you record all 4 of those by having keyboard control on. When you have keyboard control on, like, let me go back just the main pattern screen, you can see that I have keyboard control on, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can record all of those simultaneously when that's on. When I don't have keyboard control, I'm only recording a single part when I select that part to record. So kind of a little, you get information on this about this instrument here. So you'll notice that in all of the parts I have, or in all of the scenes, bass is in all of them, drums are in all of them. I have the pad in most of them. The guitar plays comping parts. Anyway, that's the overview screen. Over here you also see undo media record. So I did record, I think I recorded a little pad before we started here. I could undo that here. You have one level of undo, and this is where the undo is in this, in the pattern mode. You can also save out a section as a MIDI file if I wanted to, or I can load in a MIDI file. If you saw any of my, I did at the 45th anniversary event, at the Ginza store, I played a song, and how I did that song was most of it I did in Cubase, but when I was done, I took each of the sections of the song and broke them up into pattern sections and loaded them in as MIDI files. So section 1 would be whatever I did in Cubase, export it as a MIDI file, import it. That's how I did it right there. Export, import. You dig? Right? Cool? Okay. So that's the overview screen. Let me go down to the next one. Now note, if you look across the left-hand side, you have right under the little home icon right here, you have overview, right? We just saw that one. Then note, track, song, user art, play effects, and chain. Now, generally, that note, track, song So it goes from kind of small to larger. So note would be the smallest level, right? So these are things that have to do with individual note editing, and doing some processes to, like, quantize, for example. Here's quantize in here. You can select your track by touching in here. You can do all tracks if you want everybody to be quantized in here. What scene you're selecting, you can do 1 through 8. Start, beat, and clock. So let's say you want to go from, I know I want to have measures 1 through 4 and all the way through quantized. So I would probably set that to 1 through 5, beat 1. So that gets me that 4 measures. And then you have your quantize resolution. Thank you. Right here. So you have 32nd note, 16th note triplets, and so on. You even have these cool ones in here that that I love these ones, because what they are, they're a, if you did something that was like a 16th note triplet, let's say, or an 8th note triplet, that would be kind of a swung feel if you were playing, you know, da 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 da, right? It would, but there's these ones that are at the bottom here that are at 16th plus 16th triplet. It gives you both the straight feel and a little bit of the swung feel, depending on where you land in the beat. And some music is like that. Some music kind of moves around. So I love these ones in here that give you sort of a combination of the two if you're using the quantize, you know, if you're quantizing things. You have strength for quantize in here as well. You know, strength quantize, here I explain strength quantize, 50%. Let's say I set it 50%. Let's say this is the distance between 2 16th notes, and I landed here. Okay, distance between two. Maybe the little finger would be here, right? Okay, so if I wanted to move, I hit here, right? And I want to move it 50% strength, it will move it, if it's here, it would move it halfway to there, right? 70, right? So what am I trying to say here with these hand gestures? What I'm trying to say is that strength gives you the human quality. I heard Hoppe say this. He said it in German and he said humanize in English. But that's what strength quantize does. It quantizes, but it doesn't completely make it so it's absolutely perfectly to the nearest 16th or whatever quantize. I'll put 16th in here. If I put it at 50%, you know, I'm a big solid supporter of 70%. You know, generally when I'm playing, it keeps kind of my feel, but it tightens things up because my feel is not completely amazing. Anywho, swing rate. So swing rate, what that does is that just increases the amount of swing to the to a straight feel. I love that parameter because if I set it for, let's say we were doing something that was the nearest 16th, or rather 8th note triplet. So like that. That's a straight up 66% would be the swing part there. It's maybe a little bit too triplety. So what I like to do if I were doing something to the nearest 8th note and I wanted to swing it, I would just increase the swing rate a little bit where it's not exactly far over to the triplet, but it's triplet enough. Anyway, it gives it a little bit of a lilt, a swingy lilt. Gate time, adjust the gate rate of the note as well. So you can do all these things in this quantize. Now I'm covering this quantize window a little bit here. It's a nice precursor to what we're going to talk about next week when we sort of dive a little bit deeper into the magic of quantize. Quantize is a great thing, and we'll do more next week on quantize when we talk about play effects, which is something that's very cool. Anyway. I'll move down here. So velocity, what this does here is you can select a range again. So I have my 1 through 5. And let's say what I want to do with velocity is I feel like that I'm a little heavy-handed, let's say, on my playing in here. So what I can do is I can take the rate and bring it down on measures 1 through 5 by 75%. So if I want to decrease the velocity a little bit, I can do that right in here. Or if I want to increase the velocity, if I'm playing really softly and I want the piano to stand out in the track or whatever I want to increase, you can increase that with that rate parameter. And offset allows you to kind of do a little bit of both in here. So it gives you a little bit of both the extremes of soft and loud in here. Or I can set everything all to the nearest, to an exact velocity setting in here as well. So that's what velocity does to the notes. Gate rate, you can adjust the gate time of notes if you want them short, long, or whatever. That is great for like basses. Let's say you just want to, like, you're kind of hanging over a little bit. I like taking the gate time and cutting it back a little bit. Next week, we're going to really dive into a lot of these things when we talk about play effects, by the way. So if it seems like I'm kind of going over this pretty quick, you'll see next week, because we'll talk about all of these things when we talk next week. That gives you a reason to come back, right? Crescendo. This is another cool one here that allows you to create a velocity crescendo through a range. So let's say, again, my range is from measure 1 through 4 all the way through. So I did measure 5, beat 1. And if you increase the velocity range over that amount by 69%, it will, over that range, increase the velocity of a line. So not only does something get louder, but it's also going to get brighter because you're playing louder. It's great for things like horn things, string things, anything you want to do a crescendo where you want not just it getting louder, but you also want it to get more dynamic because of the velocity, because a lot of our sounds are very, very dynamic. As you play harder, the sound gets louder. This allows you to not only, in fact, what I like to do with a parameter like this is I will change the velocity, I'll increase the velocity if I want to do a crescendo, but over the same range, I might sweep a little volume movement in there too, to even make it more dramatic depending on what I'm doing. So that's pretty cool. Transpose, pretty simple. I have a singer. The singer says, hey, I want to do this song. Do you know it? And I do it. I know it really well. I know it in the key of C. And they go, okay, great. Let's do it in C sharp. Well, transpose is such a nice thing to do. Now I just did it up a half step. So now, wait, or down a half step? Anyway, one of the two. I can instantly transpose a track with the transpose area in here. And the last one in here in this quantize thing in the note area is roll. Roll is something I highly recommend anybody that wants to do really cool buzz rolls where it speeds up. Experiment with this little task here on a snare drum. It's cool how it works. Let me grab a drum kit. There's one. Let's find a nice snare. So let's say that snare drum, I want to do it without having to do that because I'm not very good at it. And I want it to slowly. Now I could try to do that where I'm speeding up and I'm doing. I could work on that. I could shed that. I could practice that. Or I could go to the create roll in here and set a range maybe in a single measure, 1 to 2, right? I want the start step and the end step to get let's do it this way. We want it to be larger here and smaller this way. Experiment with it. It's pretty cool. Now check this out. If I want to set the note, what note is this one here? Oh, look, keyboard. That's what note I want. So start velocity and end velocity. So if I want it to go from 0 to 127, you can do that. You can mess with this, play with this. This is a pretty cool pattern edit job in here if you want to get cooler drum grooves or drum rolls. Create roll. Moving right along. So that was the note area. Quantize, velocity, gate time, crescendo, transpose, roll. Next one would be track. This is the next level up, right? Note, then track, full track. So with this one, here's where you can copy tracks from one to the other. This is great. Actually, in my last, in here, I was moving things around quite a lot with these sections in here. And it's cool because this is how you do it. You say all tracks from scene 6. Now you'll see scene 7 is empty right now over here. See this? Well, I'm going to move everything that's in scene 6 to scene 7. And I could move it to a different pattern if I wanted to, or I can just copy the whole thing over from 6 to 7. I'll say copy track, and it'll go boom. See that just lit up? That's because I just copied everything over to 7. Now I could delete that if I want, but so there's your copy. Exchange, This is another cool one too, where you can exchange one track for another if you wish. So if you want maybe a guitar sound on here and you want to, yeah, I just saw somebody, I need it. It's not the stand that's shaking, it's the camera. Sorry, I saw that there. It's like, wait, don't look at that. Sorry. Yeah, I know it's kind of a little shaky, but it's not the stand, it's the camera above me. Anyway, yeah, this allows me, like if I have a guitar solo and I want to exchange it, the same exact note data with another track that's a synth solo, you can do it there. Mixtrack takes 2 tracks and mixes it into one. Could be cool, especially if you, I don't know, there might be a reason for it. But you get the idea, and that's what it's doing. It just takes 2 and puts them together. I'll think of something why that's important. It is important. I could figure out some way to do it. Use it. Append appends a piece of a track, or rather split does that. Append will just move one track into, I gotta think of the best way to explain this. Let me think of it while I move on because I'm running out of time. Split takes a single track, splits it into 2 tracks. Clear track is pretty easy. Clears out the track. And I'm going to show you divide drum track here in a minute because I really want to show this particular thing. This is a pretty cool job in here. And why am I going to do it in a little bit? Because I want to move on to song here, and I want to talk about get phrase. Get phrase to me is one of the cooler jobs in here, especially if you're doing remixes and things of this nature. So what I'll do is I'm going to go over here. Hoppe was very nice to have sent a MIDI file that he was using, and I just took all the parts out of the MIDI file except for the drum part to kind of focus in on that. Now, let's say I have this drum part that my friend from Germany sent me a really cool MIDI file, and guess what? It has a killer drum groove on there, and I want to use that as the basis of a remix, and I want to take a certain section and copy that and make that into a phrase in one of my scenes. So you use the get phrase job. So first thing I'm going to show you here is this Beechwood snare kit. And I'm going to go to the play record and to just the MIDI song in here. So what happened? My friend Hoppe sends me this MIDI file. I go in here and I touch right here and I say load. And I look at my MIDI file and it looks at my devices, which is my little USB stick down here. And here is the file right here. It's called ttlgroove.mid. Now I've already loaded that in, but that's how I did it. I just pulled it in from the computer to the flash drive and just like that. So, and I'll hit play here and we'll hear what this sounds like. Well, that's a pretty good drum groove. That would be very hard for me to play. Pretty cool. So what I want to do is I want to take, and right now I have it looping here. In fact, I was playing with this earlier. The MIDI file will actually play linearly without loop on, but what I did was to identify what I want to get for the phrase, I turned on the loop, and I see that it's measure 2, 3, or 4, 5, to 6, right? Now it's just going to loop between 2 and 6, so it's 4 measures long, right? So now I kind of know what I want to get for this phrase. What I want to do now is go to the pattern here, and I will just grab a empty pattern here, and there's nothing in here, nothing in the scenes, and I'm going to go to Edit Job, and I'm going to go to Get Phrase, and the song I want is this guy right here, TTL Groove. It is on track 1. That's where I want it to be. And I want to grab measures 2 through 6 of that, right? And now what it's going to do, it's going to drop it into this empty pattern in track 1 where the drum groove is. This is all right. Get phrase from song. There it is. Boom. Okay, now when I go back to my, my pattern here, you will see that I have a 4 measure long groove right here. So that's pretty cool. Now let's say I want to add a few things to this. Oh, there they are, congas. So I'm going to go to record, overdub, and yeah, we'll do a record montage to make it easy on me. Maybe I'll drop the tempo down a little bit, and we'll hit record, and I'll hit record rehearse. See that? Not recording yet. So, okay. Now I'm recording. Oh, groovy. Record, rehearse. What am I doing? Okay. So pretty cool. So why did I do that? I want to show you why. Because it brings me to my next cool edit job. I'm going to go back to the track edit job area here, and I'm going to go to this thing called Divide Drum Track. Divide Drum Track is really cool because what it does, it's going to take the kicks, the snare, the cymbals, the percussion, and it will divide them out on separate tracks and put them on parts 9 through 16 in the empty part of the pattern. Why is this cool? I'll show you why it's cool. I know, well, here I'm just going to do it first. Divide drum track, boom. So now you can't undo it. It tells you that, okay? And it's actually going to create a new performance here. So I'm going to call this Beechwood Kit Snare 2. Why did it do that? Because it added more parts. That's why. So now when I go back to my performance here, or rather, sorry, the pattern area, and I hit my part control, notice that all the way across here, I have individual tracks that have been broken out. So let me just go down here to my additional parts. And let's go ahead and solo some stuff. There's your kick. Nothing on that one. Snare drum. Hi-hats. Percussions. So why that's cool is because anybody that wants to use something like a DAW, a lot of times you want to take something that maybe you started here on the montage, and then you want to record as audio directly into a DAW of some type, and you want your drums to have individual parts for each individual stems. Okay, check this out. This gets deep. I'm going to just take a little left turn here and show you how to do this. So I'm going to go over here to part, and I'm going to select my parts. Let me give you a little bit better view here. Here's 9 through 16, right? Remember, we remember the kick drum was on this guy right here, right? So I'm going to just real quick just touch edit, and it's pretty simple to do this because it's right on the main edit screen. It's right here, part output. So when you connect via USB to a DAW of some type that you enjoy, you can send that single kick drum out on a single USB channel. And if I put it on any of these empty ones, or any of these ones from 1 through 30, not empty ones, but like USB 1, that means that that's going to send that to the DAW, but it's going to bypass the system effects, so you'll just get a dry kick drum going to your DAW. Imagine the possibilities here. It makes it so that you can get things into the DAW and then have a more, when you have audio that you're recording, you can then really do some pretty nice mixing there using stuff in the box. It's kind of a professional thing. That's the use for Divide Drum Track. A lot of my friends, especially guys that do hip hop, really love having the individual outputs for each of the drums, and this is how you do it. It's all built into Montage or MODX. You can actually do individual outputs on MODX. You get more on Montage, but you can still do exactly what I'm doing here with the MODX as well. Let me go back here to, I'll go back to just the big one that I had before and see if there's any more stuff that I want to show you. I will very briefly just kind of point out a few other things at the end here. I know that someone did ask me about user ARPs. Trust me, go to YamahaSynth.com and look at the article on creating user ARPs. There's a lot of, creating a user ARP for a drum groove is pretty easy because drums don't do the transposition. As far as when you use an ARP for any sort of auto accompaniment, a lot of people that want to do ARPs want to do something that's almost like what an arranger does. And it really doesn't do that exactly the same way. But with that said, you can do some pretty cool things with the Create ARP, and it will, anyway, go and check out the article on there. It's a great article that shows you how to get into creating ARPs and using the 4-track arpeggiator. In fact, I think the name of the article is called the 4-track arpeggiator, which is what this is. Play effects. Look, we're going to talk about it next week, but there it is. Play effects 1, play effects 2. Notice that there's similar things in the quantize thing. That's why we're going to delve into this a bit more next time. And then the last thing, someone asked me this, which gives me a nice opportunity to go to the iPad and to press the open of the iPad. Let's see here. And take a look and see if I can find the some of the questions from the old Qualtrics survey. This had to do with somebody asking about chain in here, I think, and I want to find it. I cannot seem to find how to edit the length of a song that's been created. Yeah, I don't think there's really a way to do that. But again, some of these things, it's difficult to know exactly what you're in a small sentence here, but I'll show you how I make a scene in here. First of all, let's go back. We're looking at my, let me make sure I'm actually on my, my Tech Talk Live May the 12th. And let's just, is it? Okay. So scene 1 is my intro, 2, right? Okay, we're going to go down here real quick, edit job. And how I do this is I'll just populate these first. And then scene 1, that's going to go to measure 9, right? Yes, that's right. That's the... Okay, now you see what it does here? It moved it down, which is fine. But I also know that 9 plus, let's say 16. What is that? 9 and 16 is 25. So I'll type in 25. It's okay. I'm going to move these around here in a second. But you get the idea that it's kind of going in an opposite direction here, but you'll see it all work together. Plus 16, you have to do a little bit of math here. But let's just put in 16, that'll be 46, let's just say that. I'm probably wrong. So once you kind of do what numbers are in here, and you create your chain, I do this first. And then once I have it exactly how I want it, let's see, just say 65. And let's just say 79. And I want it to go 1, 2, 3, scene 4. Let's say the math in here is correct. It may not be. But this would give me my song right here. And I could actually make, I know that sections 3 and 4 are the solo sections. So I might want to make these numbers longer. But this is how I create. If I convert this to song, it'll create it. In fact, I can just convert it to song. It's not going to ruin everybody's day. It's probably wrong, the numbers, but that's how it works. It takes a little bit to convert to a song in here because it's doing all the housekeeping to do it. But once it does, it creates a linear song. Now, if it's wrong, I think this is somewhat where you're going here, person that asked this question. If it was wrong, I would just do it again. If I figured out where it was, where my mistake was, I'll just say, oh, wait a minute. I realized that I did my math wrong, and the number that I really wanted was 47. So I'm going to go over here and type in 47, and that means I'm going to have to add 1 to each of these. And then 79, that was actually 80 is what I wanted. Then I'll convert it to song again. Just keep trying it until you get it where it's at, or do your math correct, like I probably didn't do here. But that's I think hopefully, does that help? I hope it does. So I guess, wow, there's some fascinating comments. Anyway, but I think Blake is bad at math. Yeah, I am. My brother, he was a math professor though, a retired math professor, but he's really good at math. Well, I think that is pretty much. I just want to see if there's any other questions, but it seems like we have our team of individuals who are answering questions here. Hey, every day that you're alive is a great day to be alive. That's what I think. Let's see. But anyway, I think that's all I got here. Thank you so much. I think that this is it. This is the end. Let me make my big thing with my name. Look, see? Thank you so much for watching Tech Talk Live for this Tuesday, May 12th. Next week, we are going to do the quantize and play effects. Please check that out. Play effects, I didn't use them with the, just to let you know, when I did this little thing I made, I did everything with just direct, hard 16th note quantize. So I didn't use any of the play effects. But the play effects to me are the coolest thing in the world for really messing with attitude and doing it non-destructively and trying things out and then committing with the things that you'll see next week. You will not want to miss next week's Tech Talk Live. I highly recommend that you check out Hans-Peter Hinkel. He would be like 10 o'clock my time. He's 7 o'clock Berlin CET time, right? Even if you don't speak German, I watch it and I get a lot of what he's doing, and it actually informed a lot of what I was doing because I have the fortune that he goes before me by about 3 hours. But you should watch his too because we do a little bit different things, and it's worth watching them both. So, so if you can, watch them both. If not, well, watch me. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, thank you so much for watching Tech Talk Live. I really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you next week, I hope.